Well, hello, everyone. I hope you have all had a good weekend. Welcome to week 2 of the Bad Website Web Development Bootcamp. My Bad Website Club. See, somebody's saying I have a case of the Mondays. I think I might too. But yes, I hope that you all have managed to rest and process the loads of stuff that we've learned last week and can all calmly and peacefully and joyously come into this week and learn some more web development. Um, I would love to hear from all of you now that you've had the weekend, you've had some time to do the homework. I'd love to know, how's it going? How's picking up all of these skills? How's familiarizing yourself with all of these concepts going? I'd just love to hear some thoughts. And in the meantime, I'm going to just make sure we're all up to speed on some housekeeping. First of all, code of conduct. During this boot camp, you agree to abide by the code of conduct, which boils down to being a positive, constructive experience for everyone. So if you see anything out of sorts, please let us know. And you can read the code of conduct at badwebsite.club/code-of-conduct. You can also find the schedule on our website. So if you go to badwebsite.club/bootcamps/spring-2026, you'll find everything there. In fact, just want to remind everyone, we have a little bit of a change in our schedule, in that we have a little bit of a change session on Wednesday with Terrence Eden. In that learning about SVGs, we have a little bit of a change tomorrow on Wednesday with Terrence Eden. Wednesday, 1 hour learning about SVGs, we have a little bit of a change tomorrow chatting with Terrence Eden. Wednesday, 1 hour learning about SVGs, we have a little bit of a change tomorrow. And yes, please do join us on Discord as well. It's discord.gg/uppercase K, uppercase V, uppercase U, lowercase m, uppercase V, uppercase X, uppercase A. I highly recommend joining just because it's so much more, you're going to get so much more out of this book if you're collaborating with your fellow learners. So do please join in and let's learn together. And if you can't make it to the streams, don't worry. Everything gets recorded on YouTube, youtube.com/@badwebsiteclub. So yeah, never ever worry about falling behind. It's just not going to happen. Now, oh yes, see some comments here. What do we got? I'm treating this as an opportunity to teach myself Vim. Fair, I love Vim. But just a reminder, don't force yourself to pick up a tool just because people are saying, oh, this is the best. Whatever is the best changes every 5 minutes, honestly. Okay, so people are telling me that the audio is doubling. Sorry about that. Is it not doing that anymore? Yikes. Sorry, folks. What's happening? I guess you turned into your own stream. Oh no, folks. Sorry. Did I just blab a whole bunch? I'm so sorry. There's a bunch of annoying. What was the change? Oh no. Just when you show the change. Oh gosh. Okay. Yes, I'm sharing my screen audio. Sorry, folks. Yeah, no, let's but yeah, I would love to hear how folks are doing. Bramble's saying, like, I still can't believe this is totally free. I mean, it's a joy for us and we learn as well, so it's good fun. We had a nice fugue going for a while. Sorry about that. Okay, well, let's jump into what we're going to be doing today. Just one thing I want to note. One big purpose of having these streams online is so that y'all can come in and ask questions. Y'all have been getting a ton of homework from us. Please bring those questions here. Please also answer them in the chat if you know the answers, because as I keep saying, one of the best ways to learn is to teach. So yeah, bring them in. Now, I'm going to share my screen again. I hope we don't hear anything, right? No doubling? Please let me know. Because we are I'm sharing my audio today for perhaps obvious reasons. But let's cover what we were supposed to do leading up to today. So we were supposed to read the, wait, yes, what? Is it doubling? Audio's fine. Okay. Whew, good. Oh gosh, that is such a relief. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna be working with audio and video elements. That's why I was sharing my audio in the screen. It's complicated. So yeah, we're gonna learn about 2 new elements. We're gonna cover a little bit of the workshops and then take a look at the lab. If you've already pre-done this work, please bring any questions you have. And if not, let's jump right in, because today, as said, we're gonna review our notes, going to cover these workshops very briefly, and then talk through the lab. So let's take a look at HTML audio and video elements. Now, I've been around for a bit. I've been working in tech since 2009. So I remember what it was like having, being unable to easily embed video. So it's so exciting to see how the browser continues to evolve. Now I see here somebody mentioning, I'm joining because I started the course on Free Code Camp and I'm at a point that it won't take my code even though it's accurate. I wanted to join in with this and get through that section. Which section was that? Like which step? It would be super session. Oh, a few sessions. Oh, okay. If it's not to do with the audio and video elements, then, I mean, bring that to the Discord as well, please. Brambo, I'm going to get to your question too. Build hotel. Gotcha. Cool. Let's just go through this real quick. So yeah, as said, it's the video element is quite new. Audio, I've had a little bit in my life. If you're closer to my age, you've probably spent some time embedding audio into your MySpace page. I definitely did that. I had a little bit of Evanescence and Linkin Park in my MySpace back in the day. MIDI files, good times. But yeah, so the audio element allows us to embed audio into our website, and the video element allows us to do the same, but with video. And both support a ton of formats like MP3, WAV. Okay, for today's lesson, I actually went and looked up why it's called OGG, and it comes from a media company called Vorbis, I think, from what I understood correctly. And the term OGG comes from ogging, which is like a term from a video game called Netrek or Netrek. I don't know how to pronounce it. But it's like an old internet. I'm not going to say old. 1988. That's as old as me, and I'm not old. Anyway, yeah, it comes from it comes from an old video game where you do something called ogging, which is like intense media processing. Fun fact, not relevant to the course. But yeah, so, and the video element supports MP4, which is a common video format, and many more. And we're going to take a look and play around with how that works. So first we'll see that we have here the audio element, which takes up an attribute called source, which is then linked to an MP3 file called cruisingforamusing.mp3. And then we close the audio tag. Now we need to enable the interactive editor, which I just did, oh, there we go. You will need to enable the interactive editor, but it's not showing up. It could be my browser being a little difficult. I'm just going to open it up in Code Sandbox so we can play around with the I didn't say 1988 was old. It's older. Depends on who you ask. I have people in my life who would tell me it's old. Um, huh. Well, it's not showing up, but that's not in theory a problem, because in the workshop, actually, we have an example of it working. So let's take a look at it here in action. Maybe that's a bit better anyway. We have audio source set to this MP3 file with, we'll ignore this loop attribute for a moment, and controls. So if I delete that, that's what's going on. So without these attributes set, we just see that no audio player shows up. But if we add in the controls, that's what's missing. Attribute, we're going to see we can now play our MP3 file, and it's probably going to look different on your browser because this is built into the browser. You might remember that last week I was saying that HTML is static, and that is for the most part true. This audio player, I know this sounds weird, it is static, as in I can interact with it, but I can't change it. Sorry, it is warm today. Now I'm going to watch out, everybody. There's going to play some audio. Yeah, so you can see that it's interactive and it plays music or any kind of MP3 file, which is good. Oh, there we go. If we want to see the audio player on the page, we can add the audio element with the controls attribute. So that should show up now, right? Controls is a separate attribute in audio to allow for custom player implementation easier. No, I believe not. There's a great question from Eluado. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm sorry if I didn't. So if we go back here, the controls attribute allows the controls to show up and the audio player to show up. Now you might be wondering, why would we have the audio element without the controls? That's a good question that I actually don't know the answer to. And I know that this is annoying, but let's go on the assumption that for now, if we want to play audio, we'll need the controls. Oh, I have an idea. I think we could have it autoplay. Yes. With the autoplay. Okay. Controls. Cool. That's why. So you can have a piece of audio autoplay, but not have control. So it would play automatically when you load the page. Now here's a question for all of you. Is that good? How do we feel about music automatically playing? now that's MySpace core. Yeah. But here's a question. Is it good? Do we like it when audio automatically plays on a website we enter? I'm probably going to think no. And that's don't love it. Yeah, same. This is seen as a negative experience for users. Not a fan of audio, but me personally don't like it. Yeah, see, folks are saying nope. No with lots of O's. Yeah, it's generally not a good idea to have autoplay for your audio. It's something that's possible, but not recommended. Boo to it. Exactly. So yeah, we can have a source. The loop attribute is interesting. So we can have a loop attribute, which is also it's scary. Yeah, good point. relatively annoying. The loop attribute will automatically replay the audio once the audio ends. A place where I have seen the audio attribute, the audio element used a lot lately is I'm taking a course on learning a language, and so it plays the spoken dialogue out for me, and having a repeat, while perhaps helpful, would be kind of annoying. So usually the loop is set to false. So if you don't include the loop attribute, it's not going to loop automatically. Let's not test that. I think we've played enough with the audio. Ooh, there's also the muted attribute, which will play the audio by default muted. That is, you can't hear it. Let's try it out. Muted. Oh, and you can already see my browser shows it automatically as muted. But of course, I can unmute it. And it's the same thing. You could have, for example, a live audio playing, but have it be muted by default, so folks can sort of opt in to listen. So let's see what else we've got on the audio. Aha. Now this is, oh, thank you. Oh gosh, where was I? Yes. Sometimes browsers will not support different, I can do this. Sometimes browsers are not going to support specific formats of audio. So for example, you might want to have OGG audio, but let's say maybe your browser doesn't support it, or your operating system might not support OGG. What you can do is list several sources of file. And what's interesting is it will try each of those in a row. So it'll try the OGG one first, then WAV, and then MP3. And if until it finds a format that works, which is great. However, if none of those work, then it's going to show, it's just not going to show the audio file depending on the browser, or it might show an error. We're going to see how we can do that with the video element as well. Wait, are we already on video? Nope. Ooh, a lot of saying, so it's better to listen least resource hungry to most. That's an interesting point. I would love to ask you why. Why is it better to listen from least resource hungry to most? Why? I'd love to hear ideas from folks. Sunny Spectra is asking, why does Safari not display controls even when the attribute is there? So please, Sunny Spectra, do never let me try that again. Never apologize for asking questions. That's what this is for. Let me open up Safari, because I am on macOS, so this works for us. I'm going to be honest with you. I do not use macOS regularly, so I have no idea. Interactive editor. You can't see it because I'm sharing. Well, that's interesting. Give me a sec, folks. I'm going to unshare. Where are all of you? There you are. Hi. Can I share more than one screen? No, I cannot. Hi. Share screen. Window. Working with audio. Share. Is it sharing? This is Safari, right? Yes. Cool. Well, this is weird. Look, there it is. It works. So let's see what we got here. I had the same Safari issue. The audio controls show up in the top URL bar weirdly instead of next to the play button, at least for me. Aha. Wait, is this Safari mobile by any chance? Oh, I was saying doesn't have volume. So these are great questions. I'm going to say, unfortunately, I am not the person to ask, but the person you might want to ask are the software engineers at Apple. So they probably, oh, the volume is up in the URL bar, really? Weird. Oh, weird. So yeah, actually, this is a really good example of seeing how different browsers do this differently. So Apple, through their design choices, have made it so that I got this, so that you can't control that much. But this is something really important to bear in mind for what different user experiences are like on different browsers. So we shouldn't assume that users are going to have access to things like volume control. What is it? Speed controls. So it's not that Safari doesn't work. Safari just has a different opinion of what it wants you to be able to do when, listening to audio. So let's go back to my browser. I'm using Vivaldi, by the way. No, I mean, this isn't me saying everybody should use Vivaldi. I like Vivaldi. Share screen, working with audio. Yes. We're back. So, okay, so we have a couple of answers as well. Make the site infinitesimally faster. That's a great point. So this is referring to the question of making it less resource hungry if you use a file that is more compact. Like, I don't know if the OGG one is going to be more compact, but it'll make it faster. Or higher quality audio, for example. Hannah is saying, can you set it to show an alt text if the audio file can't play? I would assume so. And I believe screen readers know how to handle audio tags as well. And in fact, I mean, a screen reader should be able to handle audio because it's audio. Quicker searching. And now we got the question, why do we need type? I tried without type attribute and it's working, at least in Chrome. What a good question that I do not know the answer to right away. But hey, we are developers and we will look this up. Audio tag. So let's go on MDN. I know y'all can't see it. I'm just going to bring up the MDN tutorial. So you're saying that why do we have a tag, a type attribute? So let's look it up. I'm just going to scroll down a little. Let's see. Loading. Loop. Source. Why do we need type? Type. Oh, you mean here? Oh. What a good question. So when we're specifying a source, why do we need the type? This is called a MIME type, or MIME, and it just helps you. I'll tell you why. It's because we might have audio files that have a different extension, the part that comes after the dot, like .mp3 or .ogg, from what would be expected of that file. What does that mean? So the type is telling the browser, hey, this is MP3, right? Like audio /MPEG. This is an MP3. I know it says dot blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's saying don't worry, this is an MP3 file. Please treat it as such. Now you might think, okay, but we don't need that all the time if I'm going to be using .mp3 files, which is true, but this is sort of like for a completeness' sake, right? So maybe somebody made a typo and it's just my audio as opposed to my audio.mp3. Cool. So isn't that why you'd need a lot of additional tags for screen readers according to the instructions? Yes, absolutely. Great point. Now, right, let's go back to where we were and talk about the video element. Again, similar to similar to the audio element, the video element allows us to play videos. And it comes with attributes just like the audio tag does. So we have a source, we have it, able to loop with controls. It's muted by default, and the width is set to 400. It's a bit wide on my screen share, so I'm going to set that to 200. Does that make it less wide? Maybe 100. That's not changing much, is it? I think it might be because by default, this video is pretty large. But yeah, it's muted by default. I'm going to just scroll a little bit. It's got the controls, and like, let's, I don't know what happened there. Let's remove the controls just for experimentation's sake and see what happens. Please refresh thyself. Might be temporarily down, or it may have moved permanently. Well, that's not great. I'm just going to refresh my browser and scroll down. Down here. Cool. So is this going to work now? There we go. Okay, I just needed to refresh FreeCodeCamp. But yeah, see? It's playing. Now it's at 200 pixels wide. So what happens if I remove that width attribute, huh? Now it shows the video file at its default width, because of course a video file is going to have a width. You know, it's going to be, 1080p or, 4K or whatever, 720p. These are the different resolutions that a video can take. And so if we don't specify a width, it's going to just show it at whatever the biggest is. I'd love to ask the chat, though. Can you all give me an idea of why it would be a good idea to specify a width? I'm going to try the other thing. So what if I remove the controls? Does it play? Can I play the video? No. Well, that makes sense. I know. Autoplay. Nice. Yeah, cool. So this is, for example, a way that we could have a video play automatically. And this might not be as bad as autoplay with audio, because since it's muted by default, we could show the video. Maybe it's a demonstration of how our cool app works, or a tour of a facility of the factory that we work at, or something like that. Hannah's saying maybe, oh yeah, so we have to set a width, because that way we don't have to scroll sideways. That is a great point. An idea that comes to my mind as well is, for example, if we have, Niels is saying, probably to adapt to the screen size, resolution, fit to page, file size, streaming speed, etc. Yeah. So if we're using lots of different video files, and they might have different resolutions, with the width attribute, we have a consistent size. Autoplay automatically converts to container cool beans. Yeah. Christina's saying, if we set a width, what happens with things like people watching on a mobile or different size screens? Is it responsive to screen size? So again, yes and no. The width is going to be 200 pixels. So on a mobile, 200 pixels. On a tablet, 200 pixels. On a laptop, 200 pixels. Which is consistent. However, like you're correctly saying, this could be problematic. And in fact, we can see that somewhere where you've seen the video. I have not been watching. So Lucia's saying this is a cute video. I am talking and I see it, but I am not processing it. But there's actually a place where y'all have been seeing a video element, and that is on the bad website Club website. Now I need to be very careful. I'm going to hit play. I'm going to say myself, no, I'm going to pause it. I'm totally listening to you though. I know I'm being silly. And this is actually a place where we're seeing. In fact, let me show you all something. I'm going to go to the developer tools. I'm going to inspect and check this out. Gosh, I need to find it. So this is a YouTube embed or like embedding of a YouTube video. And somewhere in here, there's gotta be the video tag, I hope. So what YouTube does is it provides us a way to be able to embed that video. So full screen action, no, that's not quite what I want. Bear with me, folks. Trust me, this will be interesting. Let's see, let's have a look, see where is that video? Embedded player video details. That's not what I want. YouTube, see. Look at all these divs, huh? Video cover, no. Cute overlay, no. YouTube player controls, that's not what I want. I want, gosh. Bear with me, folks. I really want to get to the bottom of this. Developer tools, inspect. Progress bar. So somewhere in here, I think I can use this to click on. Oh gosh, it's got to be annoying for y'all to see the sort of like, what's it called? The inception of videos, but I promise this is worth it. I want to find that video tag. I hope there is one and it's not YouTube doing their own thing. A lot of companies tend to reinvent the wheel so as to something copyright. Because copyright is more important than convenience. I'm not going to complain about that today. I'm here to teach. Isn't it illegal to download and save videos from YouTube? I don't know if it's illegal. They definitely don't want you to do that. So maybe that's why there is no video tag, which is disappointing. Sorry, folks. I took us down a rabbit hole for nothing. Fine. Have it your own way, YouTube. You win. Oh, Christina's saying, the Bad Website Club page with the video is responsive to screen size, shrinks when I shrink the screen size, and that's correct. So it's responsive. This means that it adapts to the size of your viewport, which we're going to learn more about later. The viewport is what we see in the browser. So yeah, we specify a width for it to be default. But we can also make it adaptive with CSS, which we'll see later on. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Do we always use source if we would like to use video that is stored locally on our PC, or is there a different syntax for this? No, you do want to use source here as well. This could be actually interesting for that note about files that are stored locally on our PC. So this URL here, it can also be thought of as a path, right? A path relative to the location of our website, right? This is saying, hey, go to archive.org and get the big buck bunny video. But you can also have something relative to the Free Code Camp website, such as, for example, I don't know, video.mp4, which is going to show, hold on, let me refresh. Scroll down here. Video.mp4. Naturally, there is no file called video.mp4 at this level of the Free Code Camp website, so it's not going to show anything because there's no file. However, if we know, for example, that we've got one on our computer, and it would be like, for example, for macOS, that would be, what is it, /users /cadmin h /videos or whatever. You could do it like this. But of course, for a website, you don't want to be referring to files that are local on your PC, because then only you are going to be able to see them. However, you can, for example, if you've got if your website lives in a if the video file lives in a folder outside of your website, then you can have /videos/videos.mp4, or if it's relatively inside your website's folder, then it's at video.mp4. So there are ways to do that, is what I'm saying. Or, what is it? Assets, videos is something that you're going to see commonly. So yeah, you can, if we would like to use video stored locally on your PC, no different syntax. That's how we do it. Eduardo is saying, for the curious, Big Buck Bunny was the first Blender Foundation promotional short animation produced entirely in Blender. And if you're not familiar with it, Blender is a piece of open source software for rendering 3D video. I'm not an expert. I hope that's correct. But thank you so much for sharing. That's super interesting. Hannah's saying something interesting. Reinventing the wheel means more developer jobs. Yes. That's correct. Because it also breaks with time and then you have to fix it. So Dan Marino's asking, if you use your PC as a server with a server service, isn't the video going to be there? Yes. And in fact, every server is essentially a computer running somewhere. So yes, if you were to use your PC as a server with a server service, the video is going to be there. Correct. Yeah, no, that is entirely correct. Everything, I think just about every server is a Linux computer running. So Hannah's asking, will the adaptive CSS override the default HTML width we set? So yes and no. The HTML element will still have a width of 400 pixels, but we can use CSS to tell it like only display 200 pixels. It's not gonna squish it, and you can set the CSS to say whether to squish it or to restrict it or to also adapt the height. It can be pretty smart about this. Ooh, maybe we've already moved on from this, but you found the video element on the course page. There's a div ID player, movie player, and a div, gosh, and then video. Thank you so much for finding that. That's super interesting and difficult to find. Anyway, yeah, we've covered that we are using the source attribute just like with the audio element. And if you wanted to display an image while the video is downloading, you can use the poster attribute, because sometimes, yeah, videos are pretty large. And so you want to show something while that video is loading. You probably have seen those in streaming websites for large videos. Legal streaming websites, of course. But yeah, so we've got, we can see it here. We've got the poster. That is a poster. That's a cute name for the attribute. It shows what's you can show an image while the video is loading, essentially. And this is interesting. Just like with the audio element, we can use the source element inside to specify, for example, if your browser doesn't support MP4, then you can use the WebM. I think it's short for web media attribute. Not attribute, format. And here, this is what I wanted to show y'all. If, just like with audio, it'll first try the MP4 file. And if that doesn't work, it'll try loading the web media file. And if that doesn't work, then you can have here an error that will show up. It'll say your browser does not support the video tag. So this is what will show instead of the video. I've been through a lot. Does anybody have any questions about that? In the meantime, let's look at the Q&A. Which attribute allows the audio to start in a muted state? I'll take a little sip of my coffee. Muted, that is correct. Ooh, Bramble's saying combining the source element and the source attribute, source of the source, doesn't take much to confuse me. I agree. Which attribute lets you see the play and pause buttons? Is it loop, controls, details, or muted? I would love to know. I think there's our only, oh, no, we have more questions. People are saying controls, that is correct. And then we've got purpose of the poster attribute to set the video source, to control the video playback, to display an image while the video is downloading, or to mute the video. Please do let me know. People are saying it's number 3. Thank you very much, everyone. Let's check our answer. Ooh, we're all done with audio and video elements. We'll pat ourselves on the back. Pat. And yeah, display image while downloading. Y'all are so good at this. So we've been, oh goodness, no, I don't want to look at myself. So yeah, we've read through the audio and video elements. Ooh. They're asking, is it a thumbnail? That's a great question. You can think of it as a thumbnail as a way to do it, for example, for the poster attribute, I assume. Yeah, it can be a thumbnail. It can also be an image that says video loading. It's really up to you. Cool. So having picked up that knowledge, we've got the 2 workshops to build an HTML music player and to build an HTML video player. I feel that since we've kind of covered everything about the audio element, there's not a lot for me to cover here for you. If you all have any questions, please let me know. I'd be very happy to. Or if the particular step has you stuck, same thing, please let me know. But I feel like this is all pretty well covered. And you know what, folks? Kind of the same goes for the lab. Let me just take a look here. So this would be yet another lab that we'll be covering for this boot camp. And it's got the same structure that we've been seeing before, a test-driven development approach. So we've got our user stories. You can see we've already got a bunch of the HTML pre-written for us. This, by the way, is called boilerplate, in case you're not familiar with it. In case you're not familiar with it, I see your question, John Monica. I will start it for you. It's boilerplate is code that we write on every website. You know, the HTML tag, the head tag, the body tag. So it's just kind of going through the motions here. But looking at these user stories, I feel like this is all stuff we've already covered today. So I don't want to take away the fun of developing it for you. I feel like a lot of this, you get better as you practice. So John Monica's asking, I'm just curious how long you'll be to the Build Hotel feedback page. Also, are you on every Monday? Much appreciated. No, actually, oh gosh. Tell you what. I see your question, Dan Marino. We're actually on every weekday for the next, until the beginning of July. So here, let me share a link with all of you. So I've just pasted into the chat the link to the schedule for the Bad Website Club Bootcamp. And gosh, let's see where that is. So you're asking about the hotel feedback. Oh gosh. Is it under semantic HTML? Hotel feedback. Oh, looks like, oh no, of course, it's a form. Yeah, build a hotel feedback form. So forms and tables, semantic HTML. So I feel like that's going to be a little bit later, perhaps here, May 12th. Let's have a look. That's Event Hub. Semantic HTML quiz, maybe part 2. Hotel feedback. I don't see it here. Maybe it's this Friday. Major unless. Oh no, it was forms. Oh gosh. Sorry, I'm all over the place today. Build a final exams table. Nope. Maybe part 1. Yeah, here we go. Okay. So that'll be May 13th, which is next Wednesday. We'll be doing the hotel feedback form. So in the boilerplate, how important is it to have a meta name description tag? This is a great question. Where is that? Here, right? No. It was here. Yeah. No, it wasn't. Sorry. Let's go back to the... Oh, I am just scrolling and clicking all over the place, huh? Y'all are so patient with me. Thank you. Complete build an HTML and audio player on your own. How important is it to have a meta name description tag? Yeah. So I think it was last Friday that we talked about the SEO. So how important is it to have a meta name description tag? Define important. If you want to have good SEO, that is search engine optimization, so that Google, DuckDuckGo, and other search engines play nice with your website, or let me reverse that, so that your website plays nice with search engines. It's a good idea to have a meta description, because that helps the search engine understand better what your website is for. And you might be thinking, is that relevant in the age of AI? Blah, blah, blah. AI reads that stuff too. So definitely a good idea to include a meta name description. Is it required to have a website? In order to have a website? No. But it's helpful. Great question. I got a couple more questions here. Oh yeah, Bramble's asking, totally random question. Does anyone have any recommendations on where or how to learn Linux? The command line is scary. Any suggestions for YouTube channels or websites would be great. Thanks. This is a cool question. I like it. So I love the command line interface myself. I think it sounds scary, and it very likely is, because it's a completely different way of interacting with a computer. If you're not familiar, there's the terminal on macOS, and I think depending on the Linux flavor you're using, it's the same. It's called terminal. On Windows, it's called command prompt. And yeah, the command line can be scary at first. I don't have any suggestions for YouTube channels or websites myself, because I haven't learned how to use a command line in a long time. But I'd love to offer some recommendations, if I may, in terms of like how best to learn it. And the first is to understand that the command line interface is not too different from a window interface. It's just that you interact with your computer differently. Instead of clicking on stuff, you're essentially typing in commands, right? And, Linux, in a lot of ways, is not too dissimilar from macOS in terms of how that command line interface works. macOS is based on the principles of something called Unix, which Linux borrows a lot from. I could be wrong in the preciseness of that statement, so don't quote me on that, but there's a lot of similarities. Oh, people are making recommendations. The Odin project has some helpful lessons to learn the command line. Misha der Berg plus Linux Institute manuals. I would say that one of the best ways to learn is to practice, and you don't have to memorize anything. I know I keep saying this, but you don't have to memorize every single command per se. In fact, that's what documentation is for. If we could memorize everything, we wouldn't need documentation. So definitely give yourself some grace there in terms of, getting to grips with the terminal. However, can you explore FreeCodeCamp and see if you can find something? Not sure I understand the question. I'm sorry. You mean explore FreeCodeCamp and in what way? There's a lot of stuff on FreeCodeCamp, so sorry, I'm not sure I understand. But yeah, it just takes some time to feel familiar with it. So you want to know a fun fact? Each command that you write in the command line is a program. So you might have seen like cd, change directory. That's a program that runs in order to change your directory. There's a courses thing you can scroll. Also, I believe a search. Yeah, but I'm not understanding, like, what are we looking for here? Oh, that's what you mean. There's there's a Linux course in FreeCodeCamp. Sorry. Oh gosh. So let's have a look. Probably under backend development, maybe. Let's have a Linux. Oh, hello. Oh, of course, the FreeCodeCamp guides. There's a ton of blog posts on this stuff. No. Please don't apologize. I'm sorry that I didn't understand the question. I was just blabbling about the command line. I love the command line. But yeah, have a look at FreeCodeCamp's blog posts. Oh, here we go. Look at that. Cool. Yeah, there's a bunch of guides on FreeCodeCamp. But I wonder if there's a course. That would be interesting to know. JavaScript, Python, rational coding challenge of the day. Spanish. Oh, cool. FreeCodeCamp Remix, French professional certification. No, I don't see a particular course for Linux, but yeah, there's a bunch of stuff on FreeCodeCamp. In fact, Eduardo is saying searching for Bash, Z Shell, and SSH. These are these are shell script languages used in command line interface. Tutorials will probably serve you better than searching for command line interface. That's a really good point. Thank you. I didn't know about those guys. I forgot about them. Start out with these. These are great beginner guides. Ooh. So, far off question. What's a good domain hosting package company? I'm loving FreeCodeCamp. If you go to the menu, I'll find Linux. Okay, cool. What's a good domain hosting package company? So if you're not familiar with it, domain and hosting are ways of putting your websites online. What's a good company? I hesitate to give you an ethical answer to that question because, of course, a lot of companies are going to have their downsides. Also, it depends on like where you live. Some companies might not be available to folks living in other parts of the world. So it's tricky to give a consistently good answer to that question. But I can say this. If you need a place, for example, to host your website, check out something called GitHub Pages. This is a free way to be able to host your HTML files and have a website running on GitHub. Of course, if you have access to GitHub, then that's all the best. We're going to be hopefully covering a way to how to use Git and GitHub later on. But so don't rush too much into that just yet. If you're just hearing about this now and thinking like, I have to put my websites up. For domains, again, this is going to vary on where you live in the world. For example, if you want to have a domain and hosting company inside Europe, that's going to be different from whether you're in Latin America or Central Asia. So I would suggest if you have local communities that you have access to ask there, or if not, using a search engine because, yeah, it's going to make the most sense based on where you live. Um, cool. All right, some more suggestions from the chat. The command line interface is also an excellent book. Yeah. If we have no more questions related to today's session, let's cover what we're going to be doing tomorrow. So I said tomorrow we'll be doing SVGs, which is scalar or scalable vector graphics. It's images that are drawn by the computer. You'll see what I mean tomorrow. It's super exciting. So please do all of the reading for that. Common ways to optimize media assets, different types of image licenses, and what are SVGs and when you should use them. And also try to go through the Build a Heart icon tutorial, and not a tutorial, workshop, pardon me. And yeah, there's a lot of good stuff that we're going to be covering tomorrow. And yeah, I think if that's everything, yeah, we'll see each other tomorrow for Basic HTML Part 6. Gosh, I can't believe we've already done over a week of this. It's been wonderful, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all of your great questions. One more time, if you are only catching up now, like recently, or if you missed the stream, youtube.com/AdBite Website Club. You're going to find the recordings. And yeah, join in on the Bootcamp discussion channel on Free Code Camp's Discord. A lot of us are hanging out there and answering questions. And with that said, I will wish you all a wonderful rest of your day. And thanks as always. Bye for now.